Okay, so welcome to the second online seminar of this year dedicated to initial teacher training institutions. And this seminar topic today is teacher training institutions, distance learning and eTwinning. And we will hear about an experience of a project that was run by our colleagues. Actually, I think I have here a typo in the names. I'm very sorry. But the colleagues that we will have today, I will present shortly. It will be Catherine, Maria Grazia, Silvia, and Sofia. And they are very well accompanied by some student teachers who I also will present very shortly. Just before we start, I would like just to give some instructions, okay? So you are free to interact in the chat. There will be a moment for questions and answers. If we see that's necessary, and if you have a microphone, we can give you the floor at the end of the presentation, okay? During the presentation, you can also react. I'm sure you can see an icon on the top bar that looks like a little man with a hand like this, and you have several icons there that you can react to the presentation while we are going through it, okay? If you have, for some reason, problems with the sound, the best solution is always to come out and come in again and try to use the headset, okay? So just some technical instructions for the best experience of this online seminar, okay? So with no further ado, I would like to introduce our speakers for today. And this is a great partnership, which I actually had the privilege to talk to them before this seminar. And sorry, I forgot one thing. So let's try to keep the video off, okay? And only the presenters will have the video on. So you can open your video when you will speak, okay? Thank you so much. Then I was going to start to talk about our guest speakers for today, which is Catherine, Silvia, Maria Grazia, and Sofia, as I was mentioning. Catherine is a professor at the Department of Systems at the University of Agder, Norway. And Silvia Zanazzi is a researcher at the Department of Human Philosophy and Education Science in the University of Salerno. Then we have Maria Grazia, who's also from the University of Salerno, also a researcher and an English teacher. And we have Sofia Hontini, that teaches English at the Department of Teacher Education in Denmark. And today there will be then by some students. One is Maria Concetta Santoro, she's from Italy. And the second one is Antonietta D'Amato, also from Italy, from the University of Salerno. And the last but not the least is Mafalda, also from the University of Salerno, and they will talk a little bit about their experiences. So with no further ado, I will give the floor now to Maria Grazia to tell us about the TTI project on the use of ICT in education. So Maria Grazia, how are you today? I think your microphone is muted, my dear. I think you need to activate it again. Nope, not yet. Maybe you need to activate it. It needs to be turned into green. Okay. Yeah. It was working before. Don't worry, I'll cut this part out of the recording. Can you try to speak again, maybe? Let's give Maria Grazia some time. The microphone was actually working earlier, but you know how these things are. Technology, sometimes it fails actually, and that's fine. Let's just give Maria Grazia some time. No, Maria Grazia, I'm sorry, I cannot hear you. If your microphone is green, would you like to come out and in again? So let's just stand by and wait for Maria Grazia. Meanwhile, I don't know, Catherine, if you would like to start, you would be the next one on the speech today. If not, let's just wait for Maria Grazia. I'm very sorry for this technical issue. As I said, the microphone was working earlier and now it is no longer working. So, oh, she's back. Great. Just a second, Maria Grazia, so I can upgrade you. Okay. And voila. Now you can try to activate the microphone. Maybe if you disconnect the camera, maybe it's taking some of your bandwidth. I don't know. Catherine, would you like to maybe start the presentation?
Can you all hear me? And if and if
yes, perfectly fine,
Maria Grazia gets it working. Oh, it was really dark here, but I'm sorry about that. If it's working, then she can continue where I was supposed to come in, so we can switch. So if you're all fine
thank you so much.
By that, I might just get started. Okay? Yeah. Thank you. And thank you for all of you who are attending and want to listen to our story. We have called our presentation Tales from the Field, which is what we're actually going to tell you today. And this is a story or a tale from three universities that started to work together with a 2-month project that involved teacher education institutions and the students' teachers at primary and secondary school. So here you just see a screenshot of the pages that we created within the eTwinning platform. So let's see. And the aim and scope was that we were a group of university professors that were teaching in different courses within teacher education programs at our universities. And our students were not in the same programs, but all of them were going to become preschool, primary, or lower secondary school teachers. So they have different approaches within their teacher education program. But we wanted them to think about and reflect on the role of technologies in their work and also to get to know other students from other teacher education programs and exchange ideas and get to know each other in various ways. So that was the very simple aim and scope for starting up with this project. And who are we? Ruth briefly introduced us in the very beginning, but then you just saw a few of us. We were actually more teachers involved, at least from Norway and also from Italy. So we were teacher educators coming from different teacher education institutions, as I already mentioned to you. And here you see screenshots from the pages within the eTwinning platform that we created to give a short introduction on who we are and our backgrounds and our roles within the teacher education programs. So so this is who we are. And then I saw that many of you are teacher educators that is attending today. So you're probably wondering, how did we connect and stay connected? And the first step was that we connected through an eTwinning partner finding fair. At least some of us did. Maria Gracia was the really head of this process, and she got connected with me, and then we also got connected with Sophia in Denmark. And we started really early in the process to have meetings, online meetings, to learn to know each other, and meetings to decide about what we wanted to do within this project and align our ideas with our own courses, and also find a joint project that we could offer to our students. And we actually had quite a few meetings before we started to involve the students. And we have weekly meetings. We have Thursday meetings in the morning every week for some weeks before we started our course. And we also use the Google Disk to share tools and ideas and write together about the assignments that we will introduce to you later on in this presentation. And we exchange emails and invited each other to these Zoom meetings, which you see a screenshot of from here. It's not all of us attending in this one, but so we did in many of the meetings. I'm not sure, are you there now, Maria Grazia? Would you like to take over? Can you hear me? Or should I just... Oh, I see you are typing. It's still not working. Should I just continue and then until the next speaker? Okay. So now I just give you a brief idea about how we as teacher educators connected, but you might also wonder how we actually got the students on board to this. And there were different approaches between the countries. And here we have made some boxes that illustrate how the different approaches were. Because as you can see here, the students from Italy, they were affiliated to the Educational Technology Laboratory within the Primary Education Science degree course, and their participation was voluntary. They were just invited to get on board into our joint project. And as for the Danish, they were students of English. And in Norway, students were taking a course on how to become digital competent teachers. So the background of the students, or the programs of the students attended, were quite different actually. But one of our challenges was also to find alignment across all these courses. And as you see also here, as for Denmark and Norway, the participation were actually mandatory because we had made the different ways of making their attendance as part of current assignments within the current courses that we had. And there were, of course, pros and cons with both of these ways of recruiting students, and such as motivation could be more easier that we get more motivated students if the participation is voluntary. But as you see here, we had some time pressure, so we had to put forward the process for the students also. So as for Denmark and Norway, all students were within the actual courses were all actually supposed to participate in this project from our side, while in Italy there were a more voluntarily approach. And it was important for us to make the students connect and work across in smaller groups across the countries and across the courses that they were affiliated with in their teacher education program. So we actually, as teacher educators, we decided that we wanted to have control over this. So we put, as you can see here in the small table, we put the students in. We put 2 students from Denmark and Norway, and 1 student in Italy, and that has to do with the number of students within respective courses. So we decided who's going to be in each group. And then this is also a screenshot from the pages in eTwinning. I don't know why we're jumping here, but just to keep it here for one more moment. We told the students that here are your group, and here are the names of the other members of the groups, and within the pages, some other pages, all students were asked to give a brief introduction of themselves, like you saw that we had done, and they were also supposed to leave their contact information so that it could be contacted across. And and so they did. And we encouraged them to continue with that and ask how did it work, how did you connect, what happened in our respective courses, but also to make sure that they actually did the assignments that we will explain to you in a few moments. And we also gave them deadlines because there were quite these students were starting up these courses in different periods during this spring semester. So the Norwegian students had already been doing these classes for a while the other while the Danish and the Italians were starting a little bit slower. So the students were in different paces during this semester, so we have to push them a little bit to get them moving forward within the scheduled time frame that we had for our project. And what did we do? We did a lot of things actually. I think we wrote a project. We said here actually that was with what that we did with our joint meetings every Thursday mornings. We worked together as teacher educators and discussed how the assignment should look like, how we could expect them to progress, how we could encourage them, and also design the assignments. And we created and populated our twin space, and we also got a lot of good help and assistance from the national eTwinning ambassadors. They were really helpful with us in this process. And as for the Norwegians, students, we actually had the ambassador participating online, helping us to get to know the TwinSpace possibilities and the platform itself. And then it was also important for us to have clear instructions so there were no misunderstandings for the students about what to do. And we published that in the TwinSpace and followed the students within the local courses, and then we as teacher educators met in our joint meetings. So we were quite active on the side of what the students were doing. We were following them and discussing them throughout the process. So I think here we are moving on to the next speaker, and that is Sophia, I think.
Hi, can you hear me? I have no idea whether you can hear me or not. Yes, you say. So that's good.
Yeah.
It's good. Okay, I'm Sophia and I'm from Denmark, and I'll take over from here just for a few slides at least. As Katrine, she said, all of our students, they started out by writing little presentations about themselves, just general presentations, so that they got an initial idea of who are we collaborating with. And they also had to upload a photo. It wasn't an option not to upload the photo. We really wanted to connect. And once they had done that, then we gave the students, and I'm just going to go to the next slide and then go back to this slide. We gave them 3 assignments. And the first assignment, the Norwegian students were allowed to choose which of the 4 options to work with, because they were the students who were in the project first. As Katrine said before, the Danish students and the Italian students, they arrived a week or so later. So the first assignment was about getting to know each other, but also getting to develop intercultural competence. And there are 4 options. The first 3 options were connected to what does a classroom look like? What kind of digital tools can you find in a typical classroom in Denmark, Italy, or Norway? Mind you, this was during the lockdown, so that was common for all 3 countries, and they could also share experiences with how are we taught during this lockdown. And then the last option was to describe traditions, cultural traditions or events, national holidays, again to encourage this comparison, finding differences and similarities culturally so that they could develop their intercultural competence. But really, the objective of the first task was to get started, to get to know each other, to figure out how to communicate online. Some students tried to just write each other through the eTwinning platform. Others used Zoom or Skype or Adobe. Different ways of contacting each other. And once they had sort of gotten to know each other, we gave them task 2. And task 2 was a little more intense, academically at least. And here, it was all about, it was a group task. The first task, I didn't say that, but it was a national task. So the Italian student wrote about Italy, and the Danish students wrote about Denmark, and the Norwegian students wrote about Norway. But now it was a joint task in the mixed groups. And the main objective was to plan lessons, because even though we had different main focuses, we were all of the students were studying to become teachers. So what we asked the students to do was to set up a meeting, obviously, but also then to figure out how you can use digital tools or technology in teaching in order to reach your learning goals. And then they had to plan lessons and then to present these lessons and upload them to our page or a page in TwinSpace. and all of the students had access to each other's work. That means that even though you're really, really satisfied with what you had created in your own group, then you could still visit the other 14 groups and get inspiration from their work as well. We always set a deadline, and since we didn't have so much time in a project like this, 2 months is really not a very long time. Then they had approximately 2 weeks to finish their project. But assignment 2 was a didactic assignment where they had to really collaborate, develop, and reflect didactically. And then the third and last assignment was more of an evaluation assignment and also an assessment of the platform eTwinning, because connected to our main goal, which was how to use different technologies in education, it was also a goal for us to introduce our students to the eTwinning platform. What does it offer? How does it work? How can you work with eTwinning? So here we had an assessment of our entire project, but also the eTwinning platform. And we encouraged our students to present their findings through a digital tool. And almost all groups did that. And it's a shame that we can't show you the final products, but they are quite amazing. And if you ask the students, which we all did in our different countries, about the outcome of this, then they were really, really pleased. And for my students, they said that they had been so motivated to participate, not just because of the lockdown, but also because they had meaningful communication using English and working with relevant topics to their education and future jobs as teachers. So I think that our students are all going to collaborate internationally and probably also use the eTwinning platform. And just to go back, here you can see some of the answers to assignment 1 or task number 1, where the Norwegian students describe their classrooms, and so do the Danes and the Italians. So I think those were the 3 main tasks, and I can see that time is flying. So I will say bye-bye, and then someone else is going to take over.
Can you hear me well?
Sylvia? Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Silvia Zanatti, and I'm also a researcher at the University of Salerno, where I teach the Educational Technology Laboratory for the Primary Education Science degree course. And there are 3 instructors for this laboratory. The other 2 professors are now attending this seminar, and they are Professor Rosanna Tammaro and Professor Yolanda Sarayannotta. So I take the chance to say also hello to my colleagues who are listening. So the Educational Technology Laboratory is usually delivered entirely or almost entirely in classroom, face-to-face. But this past semester, due to the pandemic, we had to shift to remote learning. And the students were very quick to adapt to the new situation, and 19 of them decided to challenge themselves further by participating in our international eTwinning project. So we invited them today to share their experience, and we're very happy and proud to have 3 of them as guests. So let me briefly introduce them. The first one will be Maria Concetta Santoro, who will share her reflections on the development of intercultural competence, referring specifically to the assignment number 1 that Sofia just presented to you. And then we will have Antonietta D'Amato, who will reflect on teaching, learning, and the potential of technology, referring to assignment number 2. And finally, last but not least, Mafalda Serena Colicino, who will present her reflections about the participation in a TTI international project and the use of eTwinning for a teacher. So the first one is Maria Concetta Santoro. Maria Concetta, the floor is yours. Thank you. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. So I'm Maria Concetta. I'm studying in Salerno to become a teacher, and I took part to this project to challenge myself. And as a future teacher, I feel I have the responsibility to make my students successful. And to achieve this goal is very important for me to be and to make them interculturally competent. And I think eTwinning is a great opportunity in this sense, and for teachers, but also for students from kindergarten to university. And usually when we think about being interculturally competent, we think about being able to speak another language. But in my opinion, it's not only that, because if it's true that communication is very important, it's also true that there are many, many ways to communicate, and every way can be valid. So I think that to be interculturally competent, we must respect the differences that are around us. And eTwinning taught me to do that. Taking part in this project, I felt like a part of a big community, plenty of differences. And I also learned, talking with my colleagues from Denmark and Norway, that there are many differences in our school. Our scholar system is different, and so it is our training. For example, they specialize in some subjects, well, general education, a more general instruction. And for the first assignment, we planned an activity called Mystery Skype, and it involved 12 years old students. And the students were divided into groups from 2 different countries. And in the first step, they had to make some researches. They had to find some information on their own country. Then they had to meet the other class on Skype, and they had to make questions and give hints to the other class. And the final purpose of the activity was to make the other students guess their own country. So in this way, the students not only learn how to interact and how to speak with another culture, but they also learn more about their country, making their cultural identity stronger, and they also learn more about the other students' country. That is very important. I think eTwinning is extraordinary, and the thing that most impressed me was how many different projects can be done. They can involve the students, the teachers, or the entire schools. They can develop different abilities. And I think that the fact that all this is possible thanks to the collaboration of different minds who think differently is great. Our strength in our group work was that every one of us had a different point of view. We found problems and solutions all together, and that was great. And I think this platform is very important to develop skills that are fundamental in our adult life, such as talking with people from other cultures, exchanging ideas, and it's a great opportunity for our professional and personal growth. Thank you very much, Maria Concetta, for sharing your experience and also for giving us a nice example of how technology can be used easily and creatively in a classroom to foster intercultural development. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And now it's Antonietta's turn. Antonietta, can you connect?
Can you hear me?
Yes, but we don't see you now. Okay.
Now?
Welcome.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Netta D'Amato. I am 28 years old and I attended primary education science course at the University of Salerno. My dream is to become a teacher and my interest concern children education and the development of their autonomy, affective, physical and motor skills. Thanks to eTwinning, I hope to enrich my experience because experience meeting and with new people from other countries and systems. I personally believe that the eTwinning platform offers the opportunity to discover new ways of improving thanks to the cultural exchange and more in-depth learning opportunities. In fact, the advantage that there is a collaboration and exchange of ideas with our teachers registered in Europe and the participation in training seminars. But some disadvantages are that not all teachers have digital skills in school and not all schools have adequate ICT. Participation in this project has taught namely that there are many tools that I could use in teaching that is possible to participate in remote projects with students and that I could introduce this reality. Many teachers still ignore the existence of this platform, but I appreciate it so much that I could learn to use it and exploit its potential. Thank you.
Antonietta, sorry to interrupt you. The last part of your speech, we couldn't hear you well. Could you repeat the last few sentences from the participation in this project?
Okay. The participation in this project has taught me...
Speaking more closely to the microphone.
Participation in this project has taught me many things, namely that there are many tools that I could use in teaching, that it is possible to participate in remote projects with foreign students, and that I could introduce this reality into my class. Many teachers still ignore the existence of this platform, but I appreciated so much that I could learn to use it and exploit its potential. Can you hear me?
Okay, thank you very much, Antonietta, for your reflections and also for being honest about the situation that we find sometimes in schools and about the obstacles that teachers could find along their way. This is important. Thank you. And now we have Mafalda Serena. Mafalda, could you come in? We can see you, but we hear you very, very low. Speak closer
Can you hear me
So
now?
try to speak closer
Okay.
to the microphone.
Hi everyone.
Yes.
My name is Mafalda Serena Colicino. I live in Eboli near Salerno. I have a large and wonderful family with 3 children. I attend the last year of primary education science, but I already have experience as a kindergarten teacher. For me, educating is not a profession, but a vocation. eTwinning was a very rewarding and positive experience from a human point of view, for the possibility of exchanging ideas, shared work, and extended contact with many teachers and students from all over Europe. From a professional point of view, for updating the potential offered by the new digital tools applied to teaching. From this eTwinning experience, I have learned that a teacher must acquire good technological and linguistic skill and conform them to the new needs of teaching and today's society. The culture exchange with our Danish and Norwegian students as allowed us to identify role play as a good strategy for intercultural interaction, because it allows participants to relate and communicate friendly and independently. With the eTwinning project, I would like to build an educational game project with the aim of improving lexical competence by resorting, in fact, to an interactive and laboratory-based play methodology which, enhancing the skill of children, facilities involvement to and participants, and together make them grow in awareness of being able to interact in a different language, English, by playing and learning new form of communication. For example, you could use to Taboo game, which a popular board game. This board game is a conversation and culture game focused on forbidden words that involve an unlimited of participants, and is based on giving definition of word without using the most obvious word, forbidden word. This game, it is creative, simple, and a lot of fun. Thank you for attention.
Thank you, Mafalda, for reminding the educative value of games. I think it's a very important point, and how we can use technology to play educative games. Thank you for giving an example of a very simple and engaging game to play with children. I thank again our students, and they will be available at the end of the session for questions. I will try to sum up what did we learn from this exploration into the world of eTwinning. We did learn a lot, and this is true for teachers and for students. So we would like to share with you some of our thoughts. Number one, the project should be made as simple and clear as possible, because there are many people who participate in a project and they have different time availabilities, different backgrounds, different language skills. So if you make the project too complex, it's going to be very difficult to manage it. So simple and clear. Second, plan in advance as much as you can. Create a calendar with the assignments and the deadlines, because if you do so, you will make students' life easier and they will be able to organize their time. Third, involve eTwinning ambassadors as much as you can, because they are a precious resource. They know a lot about eTwinning. They strongly believe in the goals of eTwinning, and so they have enthusiasm and they can convey effectively the message. Fourth, if students who participate in an international eTwinning project attend different university courses, this should be not seen as a problem, rather as a learning opportunity. In our case, we had English as a second language students from Denmark. We had educational technology students from Denmark. We had primary education students from Italy, and they did work together, and they had to mediate and find a way to do the assignments that was suitable for all of them. And this is a value, we think. Fifth, consider the consequences of different approaches to the recruitment of students. So consider pros and cons according to your goals. Sixth, there are some technical issues and some limits with the eTwinning platform. So students are very quick at testing the platform and reporting any kind of feedback. Student feedback can be very constructive, so it's worthwhile collecting it and analyzing it. Eighth, we believe that if you suggest or even require students to use web-based tools such as Canva, Prezi, Padlet, and others to complete the assignments, there are more chances that they will work together rather than dividing the work and pasting it together at the end. And we want to foster collaborative work. We want them to work together. So using web-based tools is a good strategy. So in the end, we come to the conclusion, why is eTwinning a crucial resource for future educators? We tried to summarize our main points in this slide. We believe that eTwinning can bring the world to the classroom because student teachers can learn about the organization of teacher education across countries. They can learn more in general about different cultures of teaching across countries. They can build their own network, international network of student teachers from all over Europe. And finally, by experiencing the internal logics of the eTwinning platform, they can become more digitally competent. And we all know that digital competence is crucial for any educator and even for any responsible citizen of today's society. So this is our reflection, and I invite any of my colleagues to add anything if they would like to. And then I give back to Ruth the floor.
Thank you so much, my dear. So actually now is the moment for questions and answers, and I would like to exceptionally ask at least Silvia, Sofia, and Maria Grazia and Catherine to open the cameras, maybe so we can see you. I think it would be nice to see you all. So So I would like to ask now the participants if you have any questions. I saw that there were some questions about the number of students that were involved. They were already replied. I'm not sure if Maria Grazia already has the sound, but at least we can see her face. Yeah.
Rute, can I add one thing? I was mentioning the role of ambassadors, and I take the chance to say hello to our ambassador, Tonia Calò, who I see is listening. And she is the one who came to our classrooms and introduced many times the eTwinning platform to students. And so we owe her a lot for the knowledge that students have.
That's great.
Of
and maybe adding to that, I can already say that we have here some national support services. At least I can see Alex from Italy and Stian from Norway. And I can tell you that in case you are wondering, do we have ambassadors in our country? Yes, you do have ambassadors in your country. And how can you reach them? Well, there are two ways to reach them. One way is to look in the eTwinning portal for the ambassadors available in your country. The other way is to contact directly your national support service and learn who is around you, who's close to you, who's close to your school or institution, and who could support you in this matter, okay? The best way is always to contact the National Support Service. That should be the first one, but you can also see who the ambassadors are in the eTwinning portal. So I would like to mention this because I think they are indeed a great support and crucial a lot of times in the promotion of eTwinning and the implementation of eTwinning in the teacher training institutions. Is there any questions, any curiosity, any comment from our speakers, Sophia, Catherine? Unfortunately, Maria Grazia is not available.
If I just may continue on the
sure,
the subject, the ambassador role, because the ambassador role, the national ambassador, is crucial to get the students on board within the eTwinning systems. So, along with helping us to explore the platform, but they are really necessary to get on board. So that's why it's really important to get in touch with them if you plan to get started with a project.
Yes, excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much. So the floor is open for questions. Please don't be shy. We still have 5 minutes for questions and answers. And actually, we can take more time if needed, if the conversation is good. So while I see someone typing, I would like to thank you, ladies, including Maria Grazia, although she didn't manage technically, but I know you had a lot of work preparing this presentation, and it was great to have you with us today. Also, I would like to thank the students Mafalda, Maria, and Antonietta for being with us today. It was very inspiring, and I think the best way to learn how to do things is to really listening to the experiences and how the others did it and learn together. So I think it was very, very interesting. So I see that there are no further questions. Yes, indeed, there were very, very interesting presentations and thoughts and comments from everybody. So before we leave, and the floor is still open for questions, okay, but I'm trying to buy here some time. Yes, so the recording will be available in the group, okay? So you will have the slides. If the ladies allow me to share the slides, I can share them in the group as well. And also the recording will be there. So, okay, so if you have questions later, how can you reach? Well, you can always contact each other through the eTwinning platform, okay? You can add your contacts and you can contact through the eTwinning platform. And then I leave to each individual to decide to share or not a more personal contact. Okay? So there's one question. Yay. Thank you, Stian. So to Denmark and Norway, it was compulsory to participate. Did you find that many students were not motivated to contribute? So I don't know who actually can answer this. Maybe
I can
Sophia
answer from
or
Denmark if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
yeah. Yes.
I had 31 students, and they weren't asked whether or not
Yes.
they wanted to participate, as was presented before. It was mandatory to participate. They loved it. It was the greatest success, really. They so enjoyed this, the authenticity of what went on in the project. And right after the project finished, they had their final exams where they had to write little synopsises, and many of them wrote about all of the benefits of international collaboration, and especially through eTwinning. So in that way, I'm sure that it was a success, even though they didn't have a choice. It was a way to pass the module that we were having at the moment. So, yeah, I didn't have any problems, no complaints.
Same for you, Catherine.
Yes, I just wrote in the chat, Phil. I agree with Sophia, and I share her experiences. We didn't have a final assignment, but to participate within the eTwinning platform, and they was to follow up by writing a blog post about their experiences, and that was a mandatory assignment. So they would pass the course unless they after a while, but they got engaged in that way too. So I didn't hear anybody that didn't like to be a part of this project. On the opposite, actually.
That's great news. What about Italy, Sylvia? We have here a question. Were all the students eager to participate?
Yes, in our case, the students of the educational technology laboratories are more or less 180. It was a very particular time because we had just shifted to remote learning, and so we launched the idea of participating in an international eTwinning project, but we wanted it to be a voluntary decision. Because we didn't want to put too much pressure on the students at that very particular moment. And I think it was a good choice. And the 19 students who participated, they were all very motivated, and it was a pleasure for me to interact with them, always very present. And they had many questions and they had proposals. So I think the good motivation.
So I suppose that you already
for
gave
all
me
of
the answer
them.
to Georgia, actually. She's asking if it was hard for the student teachers to find the time to talk to each other. Maybe it was not hard, from what I gather. Or maybe it was hard, but they were really eager to do it anyways. I don't know. Let us know.
It was hard sometimes. It was hard because of different schedules, and our students had mandatory lessons to attend, and I imagine the same for Sophia's and Catherine's students. So sometimes I know they met in the evening or on Saturdays, Sundays. It was the lockdown period, so probably that facilitated sometimes their availabilities. But in some cases, it was still a little difficult to find a common time.
In eTwinning projects, we always need to deal with several time zones, several structures, several schedules in different institutions, even in the different schools. I mean, we end school and start school in different moments of the year, so it's always I think one of the most complicated parts is to find the right moment to be together and to work together. Excellent. Are there any other questions? I see that the emails were already actually shared in the chat, so take advantage of that. Well, if there are no further questions, I would like just to ask you all before you leave to actually go quickly to this or click on it, and then you can take the time to complete a quick evaluation form about this seminar. Okay, just to have some feedback on that. And I would like to actually, it was very nice to hear in the beginning of this session that all of you met because of a partner finding. And I was actually mentioning in the chat that we are planning a partner finding for the 9th of October at 5 Brussels time. So if you are interested in joining, please keep an eye on the group, and we will share more information about it very, very soon. Okay, so it will maybe an opportunity to find great partners for your project as well. Okay, so if there are no further questions or further comments, here's the ladies again. It's great to see your faces. Actually, it's great to see Maria Grazia, which I'm really sorry that she didn't manage to share. But I would like to thank you all, and I just love this this picture. Keep the faith. I think that's all what we need now, to keep the faith for better days to come, and keep eTwinning in your minds and in your plans to for the year to come. We are just in the beginning of the school year. I think this was a great inspiration to start the school year.